And so good morning, everyone, and welcome to our service in the park. Welcome to Living Beyond Limits. Welcome to being in the heart space of each other as we're here today. And for those of you who are joining us online, we welcome you also for joining us during the service today that we're doing in the park. I am Reverend Jennifer Spear, and we are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here today. And so, as we begin our service this morning, I'm going to invite you to join me in saying our mission statement. If you know it by heart, you don't have it on your little insert, but I think most of you know it. And if you don't, and you just want to kind of take it in, I invite you to do that also. It goes like this. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. So that's exactly what we are doing here at Living Beyond Limits. We are actually participating in that evolutionary impulse, the evolutionary push of the divine. The divine is fully orbed. It is all that it will ever be, but it is expressing itself in this world in ever greater and fuller and richer and more profound and beautiful ways. And as we recognize that that presence is innate to our beingness, that it is indeed the essence of our own spirit, that then, as you know, we become more generous, we become more kind, we come to a recognition that we are safe all the time, which makes us more open and generous of heart to other people, more loving. And as we do every single one of those acts, and as we just simply recognize that presence within us, all of that participates and assists in that unfolding of the divine, that evolutionary impulse that lives within us. Because you might notice as you've participated in the center, you have grown and you have changed and you come differently to the world than you did before this philosophy. All of that is that evolutionary impulse unfolding itself within you and through you and as your very life and as your very self. And so I thank every single one of you for answering the call, because I know that as you've done that, you have become more of a beneficial presence in this world. So I thank each and every single one of you for saying yes to that call of your own heart and your own spirit. And so as we begin the service today, I'm going to invite our practitioner, David Conant, up. He is going to come up and lead us in an evocation as we begin to evoke an awareness of the presence of spirit that is always right where we are, and do a contemplative reading for us. And so I invite you to just kind of settle into yourself and to find that place of stillness within you. We're going to have the song We Are by Denise Rosier, and I invite you to sing along if you'd like to, or to just let that take you a little bit deeper.
This is a time when we each move our thoughts to our hearts. This is where we experience our oneness with the presence of Spirit. While it is true, we are each living a unique human experience, it is equally easy for us to believe there is only one source that created this human experience. All we need to do is know this with conviction. Nothing forced, just something we know. Therefore, because we know that our source is the one source, we also know we are one with the perfect law of good. This law of good may be invisible, but our invisible thoughts have complete control over it, which is our love, joy, abundance, success, and creativity, and the source for a spirit-filled life. It may be unseen by us, but not so to our thoughts, which make it manifest in our lives. That very same creative intelligence is very present here today. And I bless Reverend Jennifer for creating the conditions and space for the gift of spirit to flow into our lives. I bless Ray for the love and joy that flow through him. I bless everyone here. I bless all spiritual paths, as one day the paths will become one. I bless our earth, and I bless this day. And so it is.
So it is.
Good morning. My reading today is from This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. Divine guidance, like the presence of God, is where you are, at the center of your being. When you turn to the Spirit for the solution of your problem, Spirit answers by intuitively knowing not the problem, but the answer. As your consciousness lifts itself above the problem into a spiritual atmosphere of affirmation, the problem, as such, disappears, and the answer takes its place. Work with your consciousness through spiritual mind treatment and affirmations until the mind ceases to function on the level of problem and begins to function on the level of the answer. This may not be an easy thing to do, but even though it is difficult at times, your reward is certain. God knows intuitively, and the principle of divine guidance works automatically when you bring your hopes and aspirations to the divine center within you, and you recognize that the answer is within your own mind, because God is right where you are. So, in calm confidence, in perfect trust, let go of the problem, and you will receive the answer. This is because the mind that is in you is the mind of God. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you, David. And so I have some questions for you. Do you have any challenges going on in your life right now that you don't know how to solve? Chris is going, no. Do you have any issues in your life that at this moment you don't know how to work out? Or do you have any places where you feel stuck in your life because you don't know what to do or you don't know the answer? You know, we want to be able to solve our problems. We want to have solutions to our problems and answers to our questions. We don't want to be stuck. Instead, what we want is we want to be able to move forward in a way that works for us, and ultimately we'd like to move forward in a way that works for the other people that are involved also. But I know that sometimes when we don't have the answer to our problem, we don't have the answer or the solution, or we don't know how something is going to work out, we can feel stuck. And when we feel stuck, sometimes we tell ourselves things like, this is never going to work out. I don't know how to do this thing. There is no way to resolve this. I'm never going to be able to change this. There's no use. I may as well just give up. Do you ever do those things? Do you ever say those things to yourself? And if that kind of thinking goes on for a while, we can feel really deflated. We can feel really hopeless. And you might have noticed in your life, hopeless is not a good place to live. No. We feel hopeless or we feel deflated because, one, we don't know the answer, or two, we can't find the answer, or three, we think there is no answer or there is no solution to whatever that issue is that we're having in our lives. Well, in the book, This Thing Called You, that David just read out of, Ernest Holmes says, if you are living in an intelligence which instantly knows the answer to any problem, then you are living in an intelligence which has no problem. If you're living in an intelligence which knows the answer instantly to every problem, then you're living in an intelligence which has no problem. There is only one absolute, infinite intelligence. We live in it, and it lives within us. It exists within everything. It permeates everything. It is the foundation of everything. That intelligence. It holds everything within itself. Nothing is outside of it. It leads us and it guides us and reveals to us the perfect solution, the perfect answer, reveals it to our hearts, reveals it to our minds, reveals it to our intuition when we make ourselves available to it. We have to make ourselves open to receiving that answer. And so Ernest Holmes says, this principle of intelligence must be without limits. Your thought and acceptance can put brakes on it. In this way, paradoxical as it sounds, you limit the limitless. Of course, you never really limit the limitless, but you do limit its flow into your experience. That infinite intelligence contains the intelligence within itself to have created a caterpillar that somehow magically turns into a butterfly. That infinite intelligence contains within itself the intelligence to make a bird that has hollow bones so that it might fly, that enables it to migrate, and even migrate at night when it's dark and it can't see, and while it's sleeping. That intelligence has created penguins that live in this brutal climate of sub-freezing temperatures up to 40 degrees below zero that hold the eggs on their feet to keep them warm and huddle together to keep them warm, where they trade places and somebody keeps going to the outside and the inside. That intelligence is within a snail that somehow knows how to hibernate for 3 months when it needs to self-preserve. And that intelligence is within your body. It turns your food into muscle and tissue and bones. It knows how to repair itself when things get broken, creates new cells all the time. That intelligence can surely give you the answer to whatever questions you have in your life. That intelligence can surely guide you to the perfect answer, the perfect solution, the perfect way forward. Why? Because it already contains the answer. It already contains the solution. It's an all-knowing, infinite, absolute intelligence. And so how do you get there? How do you get there from where we are right now? Here's the key and the inspiration for this talk. Ernest Holmes says, every problem contains its own answer. If you think of the problem merely as a question, as an inquiry, not as an obstruction. If you pose that problem that you're holding onto as a question, we open ourselves to the creative impulse of the universe so that we might hear an answer. How many times have you forgotten someone's name, or say the name of a movie, or a word, and then once you quit thinking about it, you quit focusing on trying to answer it, all of a sudden it pops into your mind? You know, maybe it's 5 minutes later, maybe it's an hour later, maybe it's right before you go to sleep. But it's able to pop into your mind because you've quit struggling with it. You've quit holding it as a problem. You've quit telling yourself that you can't find the answer. I took a class when I was in college about how to take tests. And one of the things they taught us in that class is if you come to a test question you don't know the answer, skip it. Move on and continue. Because what happens, your subconscious mind continues to work on it while you're not focused on it. The answer? Why? Because the answer's already in your mind. It's already held in your mind. You just hadn't been able to access it. But by quit holding it as a problem and quit fighting with it and struggling with it, you've created space for it to come forward. Or how about, have you ever had something in your life that you want to resolve and you don't quite know how to resolve it, so you decide to talk to one of your friends about it, to kind of get their take on it and to have them tell you what they might do or what they think. And as you're telling them the story and you're telling them about your problem, your own answer comes to you before they ever say a word. That happens to me all the time. I know even sometimes when I'm working on a talk, to creating a talk, I will call my friend Tracy, who is a minister, and ask her, what do you think about such and such a subject? And she starts talking about what she has to think, and sometimes I take notes. Very rarely do I ever use anything that she tells me. But what happens is that openness, I come up with all sorts of other ideas about what to say or ideas about that particular subject because I've created the space for it. The answer to your question, the resolution to that issue that's going on in your life is already held in that infinite mind. It's already held in that infinite love intelligence of the universe. One of the ways we create space for that answer is to pose it as a question. I wonder how my abundance will show up today. I wonder how I can resolve that issue with my spouse or my neighbor or my coworker. I wonder how I can spend time with my family this summer in a way that isn't draining to me. I wonder who can take care of my cats while I'm on vacation. I wonder who will be our new musicians at Living Beyond Limits. And so the title of my talk today is, Do You Have a Question? And I'm talking about when we hold something as a question rather than as a problem, it creates an openness within us so that that creative solution has space. It creates an anticipation within us of an answer coming forward. We open ourselves in that question so that the solution or the answer has a space to present itself. Our openness creates the space for that creative solution to reveal itself to our minds. Posing something as a question rather than as a problem in our lives shifts our vibration. It shifts our feelings, it shifts our thinking, it shifts our emotions. And as you know, like attracts like. We create this new vibration that draws to us something different. That new vibration matches the vibration of finding a solution. That new vibration matches the vibration of ease and of flow. Like attracts like. And so I'd like to share a story with you, and it says, one day when I arrived at the airport in a city where I was to present a seminar, I told my program sponsor that on my flight I'd been given a free upgrade to first class. Oh, I get upgrades all the time on many different airlines, she responded with a little laugh. I don't even ask why. They just put me up front. Why is that, I had to ask. I think it has to do with the fact that my dad was vice president of TWA, she explained. As a little girl, I traveled with him a lot, and they always put us in first class. Now it just seems natural. My sponsor's account demonstrates how powerfully our subconscious beliefs affect the results we generate. The image and experience of flying first class was embedded deep in her psyche. Although she did not think about it consciously, her expectation created a consistent outcome. The personnel who gave her the upgraded tickets had little idea that they were agents of a system far broader than the airlines. You can tell what you believe by what you are getting. If life is treating you well, somewhere in your mind you expect it. If life is treating you badly, somewhere in your mind you expect it. You receive as much or as little as you expect. To improve the results you are getting, begin by upgrading your beliefs and your expectations. The script of your life is etched in your mind, and the people you encounter are actors in the movie you have written. No matter what scenes have been played this year, beginning this day, you have the power to rewrite your story. Expect your good and you will find it. Posing an issue as a question opens up us so that we expect to find an answer. We expect to find the solution. What we think about, we open ourselves to. Think about it. If you're going to buy a new car and you've kind of decided on what model car you want to get or what color car you want to get, all of a sudden you start noticing that model or that color of car everywhere that you go. Or if you're thinking about getting a dog, all of a sudden you start noticing all these people that are out walking their dogs, and you start noticing different breeds of dogs because you're wondering which kind of dog you should get. I know when I got a new roof on my house, I was trying to figure out what color. I wonder what color roof I should get. All of a sudden, I started noticing all these different color roofs. I'd never noticed different color roofs before. But they'd been there all along. They'd always been there. But my question opened me so that I could get an answer. So I pose the question, what color roof shall I get? And then I start noticing the possibilities, the solutions, the answers. So do you have a problem or an issue that you have going on in your life right now that is unresolved, that you don't have the answer to? Can you think of one? How can you pose that as a question? I wonder, fill in the blank. I wonder. So I invite you this week to live in that question. To ask yourself that question in the morning when you get up. If you find yourself worrying about it, to ask yourself the question again. And notice how your energy changes. Notice how your thinking changes. Notice how your emotions change. Notice how curious you get and how open you get. And be open to answers as they present themselves, to creative ideas, to new possibilities. And as you get those, take the steps that come with them. Move toward that thing that you're trying to resolve, that you are resolving. Give yourself the opportunity to discover the answer by living in the question. And then get back to me. I want to hear about how you found the answer and how simple it was, how things changed inside of you and changed in your life because of that. And whenever you're stuck in your life, let go of that thing as a problem and change it to a question. I wonder, fill in the blank. And anticipate and look for the creative ideas, the new ideas, the solutions, the options, the answers. And as a result, you'll be moving through the things in your life with a sense of openness and a sense of ease and a sense really of how good life is. And so blessings to all of you on this path of revelation and discovering who you are and creating your best life. Blessings to you. And so I invite you to join me in an affirmative prayer. And so right now, we have taken our attention off of whatever the issue or the problem is and have opened ourselves, recognizing that indeed we live in a creative universe, that there is one creative intelligence that permeates all things with its beingness, that supports and animates and uplifts and buoys everything in this universe because it is that infinite one expressing itself as the all. Everything that we see and everything that we do not yet see is all the activity of this one unfolding itself. For it is indeed, and has been said, that it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. We live in that kingdom right now. A kingdom of good, a kingdom of plenty, a kingdom of creativity and opulence and bounty, where there are only solutions and answers and ways forward. And so today we step into this light, recognizing that yes, indeed, we are each carried on this path. We are each led and guided into our perfect life. And so we say yes to the call of our own spirit, to the call of the divine within us. In our openness, the blessings flow into our lives. And we are carried. And we are wrapped in the goodness of the divine presence. And so I speak this word also about this entire world in which we live, recognizing that that infinite love intelligence is everywhere present. That right now I recognize that it is in every single person. It is within every single home. It is within every single place of business. It is within all. And right now, it is revealing itself as the perfect way forward. For I know that there are no obstructions or delays in divine mind. There is only the perfection and the goodness and the out-picturing of all that is good. And so it is with a heart filled with gratitude that I release this prayer into the infinite law, knowing that it is unfolding itself right now as the perfect way, the perfect idea, the perfect unfolding. And I say thank you, God, for all of this. And so it is. And so David will come up and lead us in your affirmation that's on your insert. And if you don't have an affirmation, yours is blank, find someone that's sitting near you that actually has one. I have a few extras to go.
If you would join me as we read this together. I turn every seeming problem in my life into a question. Holding the question, I increase my positive expectation and I open myself to the perfect answer. For the answer is already available in mind, and so it is.
And so, I don't really have any invitations. Did you bring sign-up sheets today? Yeah, there are sign-up sheets if you would like to sign up, to be a greeter or to bring coffee or to help us set up or break down. There's sign-up sheets on that table over there. The only invitation is to stay if you brought a picnic lunch and to join us for a picnic lunch. If you brought something to share, you can put it on the table over there. And I hope that you will stay and hang out and spend some time with us and just get to be in this family and recognizing how wonderful it is. And so that concludes this service. Thank you very much.